that they said themselves that they want to work on was their comms in team fights. So that as well we'll take a look at here. Let's get right into it though. For the draft phase, FlyQuest, they have the same priorities, which I definitely agree with, is ban away JunJia carry champions. The Vi was permaban already, and they've added the Wukong to the list after the previous series. I definitely agree with that. But I think that he's going to probably go with the Xin Zhao then, because that was another one during the regular season. JunJia with the Wukong, the Xin Zhao, the Vi, all of these AD jungle champs, he was massively carrying.
So now we have to kind of question what we get as a first pick, gents, because again, when we started focusing more on the bot side for FlyQuest, considering end of season towards the development here, we want to see what Massu and Busio pick up, especially since the tournament has lent itself to those Kallistas, those Senna B1s.
I mean, you're looking at a potential, as you rightly said, Senna or Varus become the main ones that you're looking at. Maybe a Kallista depending on your priority, but FlyQuest are going to ear towards the Varus. Does make a lot of sense. Now the question is, how does PSG choose to respond?
Like Ahri, Xin Zhao are pretty high priority. Maple was really good on like playmaking champions and roaming champs, and the Ahri is the ban that they dropped. But it looks like they want to go for bottom lane again here. Betty was quite good on the Senna. That was the one game that they did win against FlyQuest.
Yep. So Nautilus going to get paired with
this is the thing. Depending on where you put the support, gives options for FlyQuest to also respond, because FlyQuest can also choose to go for the Varus Nautilus, or if they want to have something a little bit more aggressive, Varus Ashe is always an opportunity for them. Varus Renata as well. Like, you got a lot of flexibility with Varus down towards the bot side of the map, so it depends on what PSG's priority is here. Do they want to lock in their jungle, or do they want to guarantee themselves a pretty strong bot side? And it looks like that the Nautilus is going to be the priority for them.
As a takeaway as well, we've seen Busio on it already a couple of times through the tournament. As that gets locked in, let's just question, or the other side, you already said Renata. Anything else that needs to be added in here? I also want to say that, you know, Jensen with Orianna taken away and Talia. We know that Maple's going to probably try and play Azir, as he's played throughout the regular season, through he's played the tournament as well. That's also something on my mind.
Yeah. How do you feel about the Jensen pool right now, Kobe? Because it is getting
honestly, I feel fine about it. The Azir that you mentioned, he's still very good at playing the Azir. He's his Hwei as well. As far as these longer range control mages, definitely have been in his wheelhouse. It did get a little dicey in finals when they tried to make him play Annie, so we want to stay away from kind of the shorter range.
Not feeling a blind Annie in this draft.
Not feeling a blind Annie quite right now.
I mean, we are getting the Varus Renata towards the bot side. Of course, if Fly want to play it safe, they can always just lock in jungle. There's still a lot of options. Kobe, you were talking earlier about the potential of the Xin Zhao. If they want to play something safe, we saw a lot of Urgot in the previous series, and they're just going to blind pick it right now.
Even game one, you talked about it being 100%. A close series despite the loss in game one. Game one, game two, Bwipo was in charge on this pick, and he will maybe be once again.
Yeah, very comfortable blinding it again. Let's see what Aj's answer is this time around. I still feel like though Xin is so good, and especially when you have a Senna to back it up, I guess they're going to drop it. I would definitely expect those bans coming through afterwards, but there it is. The Azir will just fill it in.
How do you guys feel about Urgot pairing at the moment? That's the next question as well. If there's no Xin Zhao here, maybe we should expect some jungle bans so that PSG gets zoned out a little bit for JunJia's pull. It's already been the takeaways of the Vi, the Wukong we've mentioned. On top of the Xin Zhao, I think like Sejuani still available, guys. What else am I missing here?
Well, Inspired's champion pool is pretty deep here. Like you're saying, a lot of the tank junglers for his side as well. Right. So I don't know if PSG are going to drop bans into it, but I definitely do agree FlyQuest could definitely should keep on banning jungle. Looks like they are going to go after his tank champion pool as well. He had the Sejuani plus the Maokai.
I mean, PSG have luxuries here. One option they had was to continue to attack the mid lane, really narrow that pool for Jensen and put him on something uncomfortable. Or remember that they have first pick here, so they can just limit the jungle pool, then lock in their most favorable jungle matchup option with Lee Sin taken off, Sejuani, Wukong, Vi. You're also narrowing that pool, and even though Inspired does have a lot of options, you kind of get more and more limited in terms of what makes sense in the context of the comp. And we look at FlyQuest composition right now, they don't have the most reliable forms of engage. We've seen, unless you're Jun's Renata, they don't have the easiest way to actually start off the fight. So they could, I was going to say, remove either Maokai or Xin Zhao. Kobe's already been talking consistently throughout this draft about the Xin, and it's going to be taken away by PSG. I love the approach that PSG have. So far, they've got a very solid foundation, and they have a lot of freedom to round out their draft now, depending on what they want to go. Tank top, tank jungle. They can go for the Maokai if they want a little bit more engage, or they can stick to something relatively safe like the Viego if they still want JunJia to have have something carry in that role.
And this is a nice takeaway as well. Let's remember, I mean, inspired historically, Vedi, I'm calling back to the Rogue days where this guy was a bomb on this champ as well. So for JunJia, where we know that flexibility exists as well, feels like this could be the takeaway. It's locked in, means counter pick for top side when Azhi loses the Udyr and has an option maybe to play another range top. Now we're going to find out what Fly want to do, because they've given safety to Bwipo, but Jensen's champion pool needs to come onto the table.
I mean, even this hover is a little bit of a throwback there. Both Bjergsen and Jensen known for their Zillion. I don't think I'll get locked in, but the last of those junglers that we had on our list that we're talking about, the Maokai, is going to be the lock here. And it's just going to be a classic pairing with the AP damage from Maokai, grabbing the Tristana mid here for Jensen.
Okay, a very well-rounded front-to-back composition coming out from FlyQuest. I would still argue that their engage isn't the strongest when going up against a Senna Azir. Because of the amount of disengage tools PSG have, I do like this a little bit more in terms of the options that it would give them, and I think a little bit more scaling just because of the AP diversity. And Maokai's, in this day and age, is usually a little bit more tank than AP, so I think having that extra AP threat in the form of the Hwei makes a little bit more sense. So also I think it's a very solid matchup into the Azir.
Yeah, the range is so nice here with Hwei. You have really big burst damage, really big range advantage, until the Senna, of course, starts stacking up too many souls.
I think the problem with going for Blind Rumble is there's the opportunity for FlyQuest to just swap on them, very similar to what we saw the last time. You got to remember that Senna relatively low at sieging onto these towers, so if you swap away, you put the Rumble in a very awkward spot, and if you guys remember, Azhi did not have a fun time on the Rumble the last time around. Very far behind in terms of levels, and Bwipo should feel very comfortable in these lane swap scenarios on the Urgot.
And as we saw, I mean, Bwipo, the hot mention from Vedius there, when we saw it, he still became relevant. Bwipo still pulled out a massive fire. I think the biggest thing is Fly have gotten a bit of comfort here. Bwipo again, and coming into the tournament, we talked about this team playing towards topside. This is their strength, inspired, and Bwipo, once again on a champion that can take over the mid game. I think this is very FlyQuest styled, if I may say so, Kobe.
Yeah, one of the biggest things when we have been looking at those lane swaps has definitely been the experience for both the top laner and the jungle, seeing who can sneak into the tower and who can get the extra jungle quadrants there. And that's definitely something that Bwipo and FlyQuest came out on top last time around. They had the matchup with Bwipo's Urgot sneaking under there. The longer you can delay that Rumble level 6, the better for you for sure.
PSG fans are out in force because this is their last chance. If you're just tuning in, you're wondering, wait, this is the last day of play-ins. We've run through with this matchup already opening up our MSI for 2024. It was a PSG 1-2. FlyQuest came back in convincing fashion after a second game Urgot absolutely blitzing through, and the third game especially, where it felt like a draft advantage with a massive Olaf for Bwipo as well. Don't forget, as Vedius said before, it felt like it could have been a 2-0. It felt very dominant from FlyQuest throughout. It's up to PSG to change expectations, to come back in and show us why they are the hot PCS seed. A bit of a fun fact for you as well, this team always makes it through in spring to MSI when it's available. This is the spring champions, and it would be devastating, one of their worst results ever, if they lost to NA here before they could get to the main stage.
I think they're stinging from last year as well, where they lost to NA in the play-in stage and Golden Guardians eliminated them.
They smashed them.
Yeah, PSG probably looking for some revenge here.
The pressure is definitely on. PSG, they had to have learnt some stuff based on the previous matchup. They're riding the momentum off of a win.
Look at the mini-map positioning already.
It's looking like a lane swap, gentlemen.
It certainly
I mean, we talked about this. Like, I don't love the Rumble blinds. I think that
he has TP though, so that is one of the adjustments that at least that they have made, being more ready for it. And they have the TP on the Nautilus for the Senna lane. Okay. So you have that ability to correct much more. In the earlier stages, we were seeing Rumble lock in with Ignite, and that is definitely very bad for the lane swaps, but they've got the little bit of extra answer here now.
Slight adaptation. Lane swap has been made, not shown. No information gathered, I think, is the big thing as well. As note the ward that's been put down by FlyQuest in the enemy Raptors. They'll spot that jungle pathing down if it is going to be a 3-camp start, as Massu and Busio hold off. Now show Azhi holding off as well, but this brush is going to be checked.
So no alcove gaming tech this time round. We have seen some top laners in the past sit in the alcove to try and sneak away whatever XP they can potentially get. Bwipo looking to try and fight his way into the lane, as he often does.
Holy.
But some very nice trading from Jensen already in the 1v1 matchup.
And you guys were already talking about it, the control mage that can take over in this lane. The range advantage big as well, as they do spot out JunJia on the Raptors here with the jungle start.
Yeah, I mean, but the big thing here is that Bwipo is getting experience.
Yep.
Ajah's not getting experience right now, was helping with the jungle, and Busio and Massu have the really slow push going on here. Azhi comes over now and does get one.
All right, Ajah zoned out yet again here, Busio and Massu.
But now you have to look at, if he's going to get there under tower, then they've got to call Inspired over and go for the dive. So Bwipo going to stick under here, and JunJia is not around, so Bwipo's going to be able to soak this full wave of experience. Is Inspired going to try and head up there on the wave and go for the actual dive onto the Rumble? I think
he's making a beeline towards it.
There you go.
Things coming through. Red buff in hand at level 3. It's a good call, gentlemen.
If they pull this off, then this is just going to be a massive, massive lane swap gap here.
I mean, JunJia's also not in position to counter.
How useless can we make the Rumble? The wave is heavily stacked. No one here. Vedius calls it nicely. TP, though, is the counterplay that they're going to use. That's the Nautilus coming up. But now Woody in a 1v2, or rather 2v2, as he leaves his AD carry.
So we now have this awkward situation where you've basically got Azhi and Woody in a 2 versus 2 against a Varus Renata lane, which is just not a great lane to find yourself in, especially when originally the Nautilus was supposed to be this farming lane. So you've got these two champions that ideally want to farm, with the Senna now being isolated with the support item stuck in the bot lane.
Yeah, so even though PSG used their like Band-Aid card we were talking about with Woody's teleport, it's a Band-Aid that's still on a pretty big wound.
Yeah.
You know, because there is still
they're bleeding, Kobe.
Yeah, they're bleeding. There's still a pretty big experience difference there. Since Bwipo was, beeline straight to the bottom side, and he was getting experience the whole time. The Urgot level 4 there. Betty now moving as well away from that lane. They realize it's a little rough, so they're trying to gank Jensen.
It's another Band-Aid, isn't it? Onto Jensen. He's going to get caught out, but at least dodges away from the CC, so Betty can't find anything more than a single soul to help get the push, while FlyQuest are still fine with this, considering Jensen loses nothing else.
And now you have to always look at these domino effects from the lane swaps. Because there was that little bit of lag in the decision-making for PSG, now even though you correct the lanes, quote-unquote, you have the chance for FlyQuest to keep on upsetting them. They come out of base, and they're going to go match right back up to top side, though, as Bwipo has this big advantage over Azhi, and so they actually have to have Betty here catching with him.
Massu and Busio doing the smart play where rather than make a beeline towards top, they actually move towards mid lane, and then based on the information they have, make an assessment. They decide that they want to still play towards top, but there's also a window here for Busio to start roaming around the map, and once we get the minimap back up on our screens, you'll see him hovering around mid, setting up vision to provide that safety for Jensen, and maybe even look for a play on a Maple.
Let's see, I mean, he has shifting sands available, you'd think, so it's just a poke out to help get the wave crashing, so it resets nicely for Jensen, who has the TP regardless, but still is in a good lane state.
Yeah, FlyQuest, they want to try and seek these standard, or not standard, but matched lanes, so that they can get that one-on-one with Bwipo and Azhi to make the most of the experience. Because then if you get the top laners isolated again, fighting one-on-one there, can actually use that advantage. Teleport's going to come out, and they actually could have Busio snare.
Yeah, Woody has a level advantage, so he's able to tank it up. I mean, this is good poke from Betty as well. The heal's going to be burnt, but remember, as Massu gets involved, the Varus has a serrated Dirk advantage. Betty has to be careful. As he soon gets poked out, you see why.
Very nice trade from Massu. Break will be secured by JunJia. Meanwhile, Inspired knows that the grubs are going to be spawning, well, right now, and he's in a position to secure them. Has prio in mid and top, secures this early objective. So overall, a trade across the map for both sides.
And while you see Bwipo hit his level 6 here, and you're thinking, oh man, he could just annihilate this Rumble, you do have to remember that the jungle just took Dragon.
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
And so they know that JunJia is around the side of the map, and so that's why he's not immediately trying to punish with his level 6 advantage. Once they do get information on enemy jungle position, though, then they'll look to get a bit more aggressive. And there you go. The last of those grubs is picked up in trade.
And again, we see this sort of trade across the map. You look at the minimap and you once again see JunJia moving into the enemy bot side jungle, seeing if there's anything that he can steal away. But because of Inspired's pathing, there's absolutely nothing for him to garner. So overall, a very even map state for both sides. I think they're both pretty comfortable with how things have panned out so far. The biggest thing, coming back to what Kobe was talking about earlier, that experience difference between the two top laners is going to prove pivotal for Bwipo, because if they can find a successful gank onto Azhi, that top lane matchup is going to blow even bigger bigger than it already is.
And especially if they could do that before he gets level 6. But Azhi's actually doing a pretty good job. He's like halfway now to level 6.
Yep.
Once Rumble gets access to his ultimate, then you feel so much safer.
Oh, yeah.
You can annihilate a minion wave from very safe range. So I think he might be through the most dangerous part, because Bwipo's lane here is definitely pushing back towards him, and then Azhi can just catch that at his tower, get his level 6 and his little safety net.
Let's keep our eyes on the bot lane of FlyQuest now, because they've just pulled off a reset, a little bit more gold has been spent, and as they move back out onto the map, you'll notice that they're moving towards the bot side. There is a wave slowly stacking up with Bwipo, which means that they could be considering a dive onto the Rumble with Inspired on the bot side of the map as well.
But remember, look at the vision line that's in the river right now. Control wards galore. From the invade you guys talked about with the cross map, JunJia's been able to see this coming. Ping's already coming down from the red side as well. And it looks like Maple is willing to move. That big wave shown on our screen, so at least Bwipo is going to get turret plating as Massu and Busio move into position, but Inspired as well, also spotted on the ward.
So in an ideal world, this wave hits just as the bot lane arrives and they can threaten that dive. Unfortunately, things didn't pan out quite the way that FlyQuest wanted to. They still find themselves in a good position though, because they can siege on towards these towers. Betting in a position means that he can still soak up some experience.
There's a deep ward, there's a deep ward. He can get teleported on though. Woody has teleport as well. It's going to go to... Oh, they can't do it to the wards yet. It's not 14 minutes. Yeah. Living in the past, I saw them ping the ward in lane. I was like, oh, the danger. Not 14 minutes, though.
I love you say 14 minutes. In the 10
it's 10
minutes?
now, yeah, it is 10.
What year is it?
I got so excited because I want some action. You know, the lane swap is...
You and I doing top esports fanatic the other day, and now you're just like, oh, I'm into
But again, we come back to a situation where Azhi finds himself in a 2 versus 2. Maple.
No, it's a good dodge.
He's trying to get the flash out from Jensen here.
And Jensen does clear the wave in the meantime as well for Maple. He's going to get passive procced, and JunJia's here just in case, but Jensen walks it out. No Emperor's Divide. Maybe around the next objective timers.
Very much an implication of fake pressure there. Maple basically saying, my jungler's here, you need to flash, if you don't, you're going to die. But Jensen holds his nerve, walks away to safety, not going to lose any summoner spells today. Again though, we come back to this situation in top lane. The experience difference is getting bigger, mainly because Bwipo finds himself in a solo lane, happy as can be, whereas Azhi keeps finding himself with Betty. And that's not the ideal situation for him. Betty's fine with it, as long as Betty can be that supportive role, get stacks whenever they can. But still, 25 stacks, 9.5 minutes in, things are not scaling in the way that PSG would like.
Do you remember as well, like we've had many series so far, I think it was actually within the series too, where Betty in game 1 against FlyQuest was like 50 stacks deep at 10, 11 minutes. It was massive. A really big start with the lane swap that enabled them to scale later on and take the game away from Fly, which should have again been there. So it feels like this is a very different environment, and a negative that we're pointing out for PSG. I want to pull out a positive, because Maple in this lane that we talked about, range advantage for Jensen, has actually been pretty good. He's keeping up in CS on the Azir, and the lane hasn't been as detrimental as maybe we set up to be.
All right, now the teleports are unleashed.
There you go.
Let's keep track of those wards, boys, because hopefully we get some action soon. With the teleports being unleashed and with the objectives coming right back up here, round 2 on Void Grub spawning should just go over to PSG. They've got everybody up here on time. And FlyQuest sending Busio and Inspired down towards the Dragon.
Very much a cross-map game that we're seeing, because as you rightly said, Dragon becomes the next major objective, and the bot side camps for Inspired. He can take a sniff around, maybe drop a bit of wards, maybe there's a camp or 2 that he can look to steal. The Dragon not going to be spawning still for another 10 seconds, but PSG, it would be difficult for them to contest. Of course, with the TP on Woody, there's an opportunity still. The question is, do they really want to try and force that fight this early on?
We have to find out onto Jensen again. The flash, remember, still up. He's out of there immediately, but he has to burn the summoner at half HP. They flash as well. JunJia, the full commit, the first blood, and PSG's move finally works to success.
Yeah, really smart timing there. PSG, they go for this gank and force it. Even if they just get the flash and get some damage there, they can go for the dragon like you're talking about. They actually get the kill too. So now you retake all of this territory that FlyQuest had just invested their wards in.
Now it's Maple the one in danger. Did, of course, commit the flash himself, but has the slide and glide to get away to safety. Massu working with Busio to get that control over the mid-wave, meaning that they can still contest this dragon. The TP invested top. A bit of a surprise from Jensen. I was expecting them to actually use that mid to contest this dragon, but maybe they believe that PSG won't fight it.
And he was kind of walking down river there, too. So he teleported top and then instantly cleared the wave with
he's making his way down.
And now he's walking down.
Of course, Woody has the teleport available, so he can join the fight at any moment. No good wards for him right now, but the dragon started off by FlyQuest.
All right, well, damage coming down as Betty now gets into position with JunJia. As you guys said, it's a big question mark as to whether PSG commit, but they're just going to teleport the backs, or at least channel the backs, so he's going to be 1-for-1.
So what they should do now is rotate Hwei back up the top side and have someone from the Dragon take over the mid wave so you don't have that super long gap, but they are still going to lose out on the minion wave up there, and Woody's going to get some more damage on the tower. Here's another look at the nice gank from them.
Jensen not quite connecting the fear onto the Azir means that Maple able to set up the play for his team. JunJia, the one that secures first blood, and a small goal lead right now for PSG. I would say that it's a little misleading because of how the bot lane is playing out, and like the fact that Woody is getting all these solo plates. Of course, this Nautilus getting very tanky very early on.
That guy's been a solo lane Nautilus for the longest time now.
I mean, I think it's safe to say that Nautilus has more gold than Azhi does, almost the same level even, which of course does have advantages, another powerful front line for PSG to be able to play around. It's going to be valuable the later this game goes, but in terms of the map pressure and the way that FlyQuest is playing the map overall, I favor their current state. The question is, can they really convert this into anything? Because overall, it's just been a lot of trading around the map.
Yeah, we'll see about these team fights. All going to come down to these mid-game team fights here. And if you are looking towards Jensen right now, because he expended his teleport, he expended his flash, you know, the Hwei is kind of a vulnerable point on the map. So he's playing pretty safe at tower, and it's probably going to mean that Maple and PSG are going to get topside push for free, because he really has to respect any of those repeat moves.
Because we kind of look at options on the map for both teams, and I love what PSG is doing. Because the wave on top, so this is the interesting situation both teams find themselves in. I was looking at the map and I was thinking FlyQuest, they could look to set up a dive on bot, try and secure that tower, only 2 plates left, maybe unlock that tower, threaten to dive onto the weak side, Rumble, who's only level 9. And PSG said in their minds, well, if that's their play, we can actually cross-map. But the problem is, Rumble with the Equalizer, a huge amount of wave clear. Hwei on a side lane, a huge amount of wave clear. So both of these teams are struggling to find options inside just because of the sheer amount of wave disposal units that they have in the form of Hwei and Rumble.
And I've noticed as well, they've lost a lot of tracking of JunJia, now only seeing him in the Herald as they'd expect to, but a lot of the ward control has been covered by PSG. As now the TP is coming through, you talk about on the Rumble, well, if he overextends, there you go. It's fear beyond death time for Archerers. In a 1v2, he just has to get hit, just needs the cooldown. Bwipo's going to flip him, and he's surely dead. A kill over to Bwipo, and a great TP timer while they sack the Herald.
Exactly. They know PSG on Herald, there's going to be no jungle support. They get their kill onto Azhi. Azhi, when he does revive, will have his teleport, but it's still going to be a strong, strong push there. So Maple gets top side first turret bonus, but bottom side should answer fairly shortly here for Bwipo.
Eventually.
Ooh, wow. I mean, credit to Azhi committing the ultimate on his death to delay this siege. Means that there's a huge tempo advantage opportunity here for Maple as well. He's going to get that opportunity to throw that base out now.
Hex gates as well mean that they could really get there quickly, so...
I think it's still going to go down.
Fall, though.
Yep. So it is still going to be a longer trade. Localized gold not there, though.
Not unhappy with how that played out.
No way.
They still secured a tower on the top side. They got the Herald, making it much easier to siege into mid. And again, we think about these control mages, very annoying to siege against, especially when you add things like a Rumble and a Maokai ultimate and a Varus Q. A lot of wave clear on both sides. The Herald makes that mid-siege so much easier, which why I expected a little bit more priority from FlyQuest, especially with this lethality Varus. You have that much extra power in the early game, with FlyQuest saying they don't want to take the fight. We're putting out a bit of danger.
Yeah, and there's a good damage here. He just picked up Kraken Slayer, so JunJia's strong, but Bwipo, maybe with a Black Cleaver, I should hold my words. Betty with a root down, hits on the minion, and eventually the small Krug gives the binding, and that opens Archer to open up the turret and give PSG an advantage again. Yeah,
PSG very happy with this one. The only other question to answer now is topside getting pushed by Hwei, but Azhi has his teleport, so they've got another answer. Azhi can go back, purchase, and then teleport, catch, or actually they just rotate Maple over there to catch that top wave. Probably only lose out on one of the minions.
You know, we've been talking about dives and we've been talking about side laning a lot so far. The other thing that's annoying is having Senna in the game right as well. Delays time, adds damage, but also the shielding. Quite nuts even early on. Another thing that gives PSG a bit of a bonus playing out these lanes as they've been doing so. Speaking of which, Maple up the top side right now clearing out. Has the teleport in about 45 seconds, which is going to line up with our Dragon timer, which is up in 30.
Yeah, I mean, Maple, now that he has a long lane to play through, second time now we're seeing him get that deep push off. The early rotate comes through. Jensen has the TP available. Bwipo making his way towards mid, and now we get to see what is a bit of an ARAM, but it makes sense because both these teams are fighting for this mid-wave control. Remember that PSG also have the Herald to help try and secure that control if they need it, but it's them with the initial push, them with the initial move into the river, and it'll be PSG, in theory, to start off this Dragon.
Herald placed down as a delay. Teleport's going to be burned. Remember, that was Jensen coming in. As they clear that away, Herald is just a byproduct of PSG getting more control. Into the river, FlyQuest move. Arja zones out. The Nature's Grass comes in. Need a quick smite, and it's secure. But JunJia now, and the rest of PSG need to get out, but they turn for the engaged equalizer. Absolutely gorgeous. Inspired, burning to a crisp. Manages to survive, but Bwipo, with his trade-off, turns it for Fly. Now for PSG, they're thinking about getting the chase using that range, but Bwipo got what he could at the cost of losing the third Dragon.
Very, very close on that one, too. Do you see how low Inspired got? JunJia was almost able to get the execute, almost able to get the reset, but FlyQuest, they do kill the Rift Herald and they get their one champion kill, but PSG got the Dragon first, so seeing it burn down here, and then take a look at the Rumble ultimate into the yoink there as Busio got the handshake. Really nice Rumble ultimate, burns him down, and then they almost got Inspired, but Bwipo, his ultimate ensures they get that Fear Beyond Death. They get the execute, and then they escape. So pretty close.
Oh, no, we're back. Suddenly we fight once, we're like, let's go again. The yoink in from Woody is good, but JunJia is too low to continue the fight. FlyQuest moves through this choke as the three-man. They draw back with a great handshake, but Maples Azir does it again. The Spring Kings set up, lure them in, and North America are shocked.
A promising initial pick converts into an overextension from FlyQuest, and they are punished. Maple, with the exceptional Azir ultimate, secures a one-team fight for PSG.
Maple sweeps in the hero there for PSG, kiting back through the jungle into the fog of war there, and FlyQuest thought they could continue because they had the bailout, so even though Bwipo was getting low, they had the confidence to try and finish off that kill, and PSG with a nice punish.
Ultimately, FlyQuest, they found a really nice pick onto Arja, but then they got too hungry. They saw more kills. They thought this could be a huge snowball. Jensen commits to the top tower thinking, hey, my team will get a pick and we can back off, and it's a thing that we've been seeing from both FlyQuest and Fnatic throughout this tournament, this overextension, this overcommitment. Good initial pick, promising start. They know they have the numbers advantage, but they don't expect Maple to turn the fight around.
And again, I want to highlight the Hex Gates, which allowed Woody to get there really quickly as well. So Woody got there really early on the Nautilus, the tanky, basically solo lane Nautilus, and then when Maple teleports in, it's all over. Good night.
Old fans will remember as we go for the hostile takeover again. It's actually a good one from Busio, but under the turret, it gets destroyed and ignored. Busio! It's going to drop. No, excuse me, Arduous. Bwipo jumps in again. The Urgot, a pain, a thorn in the side of PSG. JunJia running forward though, and the bailout won't save him as FlyQuest are getting hella low, and Maple now using his range once more. A double over to JunJia, and just when Bwipo comes online, it looks like FlyQuest are torn apart. JunJia with the extended chase is going to drop on down, and PSG are running over them.
A triple for JunJia, and PSG aren't even done. He wants a quadra. Jensen's going to be able to back off. They don't give it to him, but PSG, again, they are sweeping these team fights. That one was a little bit forced there by Bwipo because Bwipo had his ultimate, and he knew he was going to be able to get the fear, the lock in there, but he flashes too far forward from the rest of FlyQuest. They could not follow up past the Azir turret, and then it's just the Urgot getting burned down. Again, even with the bailout ready, nobody on PSG was low enough for them to kill for a second kill and get that reset. So here's what I'm talking about. Look, they do focus out Aja, and they're able to get him so low that Bwipo wants to use the fear. But the Azir turret goes up, and look, the rest of FlyQuest have a hard time getting through Maple. Maple is just holding the line there again, and so by the time the team gets over to where Bwipo is, he's already toast, and the rest of Fly have to run.
I mean, I think it's worth thinking about how FlyQuest actually want to play these fights, right? They want to leverage the poke that they have with this lethality Varus. They have a lot of range on the Hwei. You want to chip away your opposition before fully committing to a fight, and PSG committed a lot of their resources to siege onto this tower, but then FlyQuest put themselves in a situation where they said, we still need to force this fight, rather than leveraging the strengths of their composition. They could have just conceded the tower and then looked to make a play elsewhere on the map, but instead they get baited into a fight, and now they find themselves at a 4.5k gold deficit.
And these fights, these team fights in the mid game are where PSG are at their best, and after back-to-back ones right there, you saw it on the gold graph. Now they've got full priority over the vision, leading up to Baron, and FlyQuest have to check.
They're trying to bait them in. I mean, PSG aren't all together here, but FlyQuest are grouping up and trying to use Bwipo again. Remember that Bwipo in the series prior in day one is what carried them through, was such a big pivotal point. He's trying to do it again in some of these fights, but PSG aren't letting him. And getting through Woody is another point we have to mention. This Nautilus has got solo EXP, solo farm, is hard to deal with and hard to burn down, even with that range.
So PSG right now are just controlling vision around the top side of the map to try and deter FlyQuest away from getting any sort of semblance of vision around the Baron, but they're using this control over the top river to move into mid as the wave arrives, to then transition towards the Dragon to secure their third Dragon of the game. FlyQuest are rapidly losing control of this game, and it comes off the back of, you think about it, that single overcommit in the enemy jungle to set up for that early triple kill in favor of PSG, which now converts into a 7-4 kill advantage and full control of the map for PSG.
And 5k gold lead just about as well. Look at the top of your screen, now on Soul Point. And also, the majority of that gold is coming from jungle, by the way. JunJia has been set up through mid, and his success continues rolling through. 3k is just on him with the advantage. Now with the second item as well, his damage throughout. At least Jensen's doing some in the bottom lane, but still something to fear.
The thing about these Senna Azir compositions is that they're just so simple to execute, right?
Sure.
Great scaling, solid laning, and I think the FlyQuest did the right thing in the early game with regards to the lane swap, and they had a big advantage, but so far they haven't been able to leverage that advantage in any way. It's been a very neutral cross-map game with which both teams have just kind of traded objectives. 3 grubs to 3, it was 1 dragons to 1, the towers relatively even. But PSG found small advantages after small advantage, and a single fight is all it's taken. So FlyQuest are now going to need to find a pick. They're going to have to leverage their poke to try and chip away at PSG, starting an objective that they have no right starting. It's going to require some impressive play from FlyQuest to turn this game around, considering PSG is only going to continue to scale.
Yeah, and PSG are so comfortable in this state too.
Yeah.
They are not going to give you an opening for free. So FlyQuest, they have Jensen push out on the bottom side. He does have his Unleashed Teleport ready, trying to get something for themselves and at least get that bottom side under control. But all of PSG use that time. Wards are up around Baron now. There's one outside, nicely placed earlier, that does not get spotted here by the PSG controller that's inside the pit.
They know. FlyQuest know. Inspired's going to walk up. Sapling comes through. PSG spotted out, rotate away, trying to bait that Baron that we talked about again, especially with Azir having TP available as well. FlyQuest moving into the choke, and Jensen just has to deal with the wave while PSG hold control in this river and still act like a nuisance. I mean, this team playing with great time, as we already talked about. Their range getting so annoying. Just such a great start of the series. Better than day one. This is development from PSG, from the PCS first seed.
Now they can just wait for Azhi to come over too, because Azhi pushed the bottom lane all the way back there from their secondary turret. He meets up with them through the red jungle.
I mean, right now PSG is playing a very calm and controlled game of League. It's FlyQuest throwing out the ultimate to make sure that they can get that red buff. They lose it.
But the hook in, front to back, equalizer again. Azhi is burning them all down. FlyQuest have to get out of there. As again, the equalizer, now that it's through, Azhi has to rotate, but the Spiraling Despair may have brought North America back into action. It's a Severing Bolt, it's a passive ready to be procced, but Jensen's ulti starting to burn them as well. 5k damage. Okay, FlyQuest is still in this.
Jensen doing some serious work in the team fight to buy FlyQuest back some space. The Dragon still 2 minutes away, mean there's no major objective to secure, but FlyQuest finding a little bit more hope in what feels like a lost game.
Yeah, the burst damage here. Jensen approaching his level 16 there on the Hwei as well. Let's take another look at it. You mentioned it, they were able to get the smite there for PSG, so they got the red buff. And then the Rumble ultimate over everybody was quite nice, but Redemption comes down, so even with the Senna ultimate going through, Inspired and Bwipo immediately turn towards Azhi when they see him flanking on that other side, and then there it is from Jensen. Does get the last pop, even as Bwipo popped shot out his ultimate.
I didn't notice it initially, but that Busio ultimate was fantastic.
Yeah.
It provided so much space for FlyQuest where they could actually then just focus the front line, and then Jensen could kind of readjust, you know, take that time to think about what he wants to do and then swing the fight in their favor. So great team fighting there from both Busio and Jensen.
Western Renata so far looking pretty good. Jun, I'm just going to put him in the category again in his career. He's on Fnatic. But these Renatas making things happen. I think more specifically, so far for FlyQuest, when they're so far down, the counterpunch and the choke looks so nice. We just have to see, though, what happens from here, because Gents, Dragon's up in a minute, and that's going to lead to Soul for PSG.
Yeah, that's going to be the big point of contention, right? FlyQuest, after winning that fight, been able to secure a few more items. You can go back to the bottom of your screen, look at Jensen. He continues to get stronger, which is going to be crucial. It's just important with regards to how FlyQuest play these fights. They don't want to play too quickly. They want to try and leverage their range, chip away whatever HP they can, and use the poke from Massu and Jensen before fully committing to the fight.
No, another concern as well. On the other side, let's just revisit PSG. 3-item Azir has popped up as well. Crypt Bloom, Nash's, also a Leandri's. No second item, third item right up from Betty, but again, support. I'm seeing an almost third item complete for Woody. Top lane at least catching up as well, so there is a lot of damage to come through in this fight. Watch for those ultis.
FlyQuest, though, they need to get access to the bottom side river so they can start throwing out these saplings. Otherwise, PSG can move in first and force FlyQuest to run through them.
Line starts it off at the very least. Woody goes in, he's tanky, but Inspired is frontlining, has to flash away the knock-up in the back line, the equalizer again, but Woody has no support just yet. Bwipo roots them all! Not a mistake, okay. Caught out, but not forgotten. Maple can't get the range. That was dicey, but FlyQuest are now zoned off the bottom side of the map.
Yeah, FlyQuest are chunked so low. Bwipo's going to try and teleport back as the rest of them try and keep control of the mid wave, and that's going to be Dragon Soul gone.
Soul.
PSG, they're able to get it, and now they turn their sights up towards the Baron area.
FlyQuest
I don't
trying to
know if
threaten
they
away.
can just force this Baron, though, against Senna, Azir, level 16 Maple as well. It's a scary prospect, and they've realized that. They're going to back away. They're going to try and defend their base, but now this opens up the Baron for PSG. We know that Azir is such an effective Baron-taking champion with the Soul to boot. That's a threatening objective that FlyQuest have to be scared of.
We have to see what happens in the side lane, because meanwhile, Azir is getting tanked on, and Bwipo just looking for the solo kill at least to change their fate. He's got good damage, but Azir's buying so much time while Baron's being done in the meanwhile. Bwipo just needs to get the kill and get the TP in. Azir again, he's also burning his health bar as the Baron still goes down. Azir dies, but Bwipo can't join the fight. Inspired about to die as the Nature's Grasp, and again, the Berserk flies through. It's good from Busio. It's good damage onto PSG, but FlyQuest need to finish the job. Watch Jensen. He's got range, he's got flash, and he needs to connect 2 and 2 together. Woody's out, and he's out so far that range is not the advantage anymore. Baron, TP, run, kill. Bwipo's idea right now as he gets rooted down and looking for the edges. JunJia, but he's not needed. Fear Beyond Death goes to the wayside, and PSG get away with 4 members with the purple worm.
Yeah, and PSG actually turning around now, looking for a little bit of push of their own. They've got Azhi in 10 seconds, and he has Unleashed Teleport ready, is what they're thinking.
You're right. I mean, again, they're feeling so
not
confident.
here, remember?
There's no stun down, there's no root down as well for FlyQuest, walking into their own trap, trying to get back. The piercing light comes through from Betty, the ulti great, but again, FlyQuest need to run. Archer's now TP'd in. Inspired has joined back in onto Bwipo. They're just trying to find the decisive team fight to end the game as Equalizer zones off, and Bwipo burning down. He goes into the bailout, but he gets no reset. And even after the Baron, they feel confident enough to know we have scaled against FlyQuest in game 1.
What a strange fight flashing from Betty. Jensen.
Close to dying. I mean, look again, they're using what I've said over and over. The range is there. Betty, auto, and Maple flies through. He finds himself a quick double, and PSG are definitely finding themselves a win in this game.
A convincing fight for PSG. The Baron, the Soul, the Nexus in their eyes. They're looking to secure game 1 against FlyQuest.
It feels simple, doesn't it? Again, PSG mitigated the early game. They got themselves in a comfortable position, and Maple has been chilling all game long. This is it, with great numbers to farm, with the range to show with 3 items, is tearing them apart. Betty not closely behind. PSG now have another turret in their eyes. They're not going to end it right here, but Inspired wants to get a pick off and find something back. But Nature's Grasp goes to the wayside, and now double turret is down, soon to be followed by double inhibitor.
Yeah, they'll be happy with just 2 inhibitors down. They have so much money to go spend now as well after that. The easy reset for PSG, and wearing that Dragon Soul, all they have to do now is return to bottom side to finish the rest of the base.
What an impressive set of plays from PSG. This top lane sequence is just a matter of FlyQuest trying to get something back, but then PSG kind of playing the long fight, knowing that they have the TP from Azir available. He comes in from the flank. Inspired finally rejoins the group, but at this point, FlyQuest has nothing left but to retreat.
Yeah, which is why, like, at this point, you know, they're going to get run down. I'm more thinking back to the pivotal point at the Baron when Bwipo had gotten the 1v1 kill and had teleport ready, but it seemed like FlyQuest didn't immediately pull the trigger on trying to make a comeback play there, and his teleport is a little bit delayed coming up to the top side when they were trying to chase, and then at that point, you know, they've kind of wasted a little bit too much time. Some of these critical like seconds in between some of these plays here.
I mean, I will say that that's kind of been the moral of the story. I feel like the FlyQuest have just missed opportunities in this game, and PSG with what has been a great scaling composition. They've played the slow game, they've taken their time, and they've executed well, and now FlyQuest find themselves backs against the wall here in game 1.
The reason why JunJia got MVP in the finals, the reason why he was finals MVP, I should say. This guy holds control, even on things like Viego. Never really lets go, always held a jungle advantage. Inspired has been shut out, and that was the story so far, against T1 especially too. No, it was T1, but still, Inspired's been a little bit quiet for my liking when we know his high ceiling. FlyQuest are on the defense here, and ladies and gentlemen, look at the gold, look at how the map state is. How do you find a window, how do you find a miracle in this game? When PSG are 11k gold ahead, that Azir has Sonya's, and now that bottom turret's about to fall, with Betty hitting from about 10 kilometers away as well.
The best case scenario for FlyQuest is to buy enough time to try and flip an Elder. If they can somehow steal that away, then there's still a chance of them winning this game, but PSG, they're not going to give them the opportunity. Another tower falls, another inhibitor is exposed.
That'll drop too soon. Minion wave from the top side coming in. It's supers as well. Look at the poke once more. Senna ulti flies through. It is Yeeha and that Inspired with the nice redemption to come down, but it won't save him for too far long. And PSG now just have to clean this up, dot the I's, cross the T's. When you're at MSI seeing such a strong performance on the backbone of being so flimsy against FlyQuest on day 1, it's improvement, it's performances like this that makes these guys true spring kings. Back to MSI, a PSG, and back to a game 1 win in even better fashion than they started with as they move to match point to get to the main stage.
JunJia, Maple, and Betty all deathless in this game as well. Man, those Azir plays from Maple, really, really big for them. Also, a much better draft, I would say, this time around for PSG than especially the end of the series, of their first series with FlyQuest. So really good adjustments made by PSG.
I mean, PSG did just keep it simple, and while I think their response to the lane swap wasn't optimal, they ended up making it work, and they didn't get punished for it. Last time, Azhi was like 4 levels down against Bwipo. This time, he stayed relatively even. And he was able to have pretty significant impact. So overall, impressive stuff. FlyQuest need to go back to the drawing board, and they need a big change in terms of what they're going to do for game 2.
I mean, again, you want to see that proactivity come out, gentlemen. We've seen it before so far in this tournament, but FlyQuest, when their backs are against the wall, it's not always doom and gloom. We'll have to wait and find out, though. But ladies and gentlemen, for you at home, don't forget